Welcome to Dogwood Hills Guest Farm. Today we're going to make our competition famous buttermilk pie. Of course, you know, there's always some trade secrets to the competition version, but this one is absolutely the basic of where we start. We make a few tweaks on it, but you can feel free to do that with your own recipe. What I've got here is a gluten-free all butter pie crust. And one of the things that I found with gluten-free flour is that if I take my take the plastic paper, plastic, wrap here, and just get your layers between it. When you're rolling it out, it makes it a whole lot easier. It gives you something to hang on to. But also, I find that one of the things with the all butter crust is to just go ahead and laminate it almost like you were doing a puff pastry. So in here you can see there's actually bits of butter in here still, just like you would have in a puff pastry. And I don't just form it into a ball. I pat it out into a rectangle and I bang it down, cut it in half again, stack it. So when this is done, the layers of the pastry are really quite nice. So we're gonna just see how nice and easy that went right into the pan. I can press it down before I peel it off and get my bottom all pressed into here. I like a thicker crust. Probably comes from both my grandmother making all butter crust that everybody fought over the crispy edges, and not being able to have pie crust for a while until I figured it out gluten-free, and now I'm enjoying it a little bit more indulgently. But I really like the pie crust. Yeah, we made a wonderful apple pie last night, and it somebody wasn't eating their crust, and I was like, can I have your crust? So yeah, anyhow, so I'm just gonna make a simple turn on this, just tucking it in and pressing it onto the edge here so it hangs on. Not fancy on the pie crust here. I've got a little extra here, so I will take a knife and I'll put it to that side that's a little on the slim side here. Right here we go. Okay, and it'll push right in. We'll just turn that over and make our edge. There we go. Tuck these over. Really, the biggest part of this is you want to make sure that it stays and doesn't sink down. We're gonna just tap it a couple of times here so it doesn't bubble up. It's got a lot of butter, and all those layers will start to bubble as it as it bakes in there, and it'll puff up. So we want to make sure we've got that tucked down there. There we go. Just a really simple pushed edge crust, fluted. It's nice. It holds the it holds all those layers really nicely. So when you cut this, you see when you cut through this crust, you're going to see all those really nice layers of the buttery, flaky pastry. Okay, so we're going to set that aside for a second. All right, and then we're going to bring our ingredients over here. We've got our buttermilk. We've got 1.5 cups of buttermilk. We've got 3 farm eggs. Look at how nice and yellow they are, plus 2 extra yolks. So we can toss those in there. Okay. Here. We've got extra butter. Now, you can stop here and you can make this a brown butter. I'm gonna just use regular melted butter today, but you could absolutely make a brown butter buttermilk pie and just get this to where it's kind of golden. And what you wanna do is you wanna make sure when you're melting it that all the little milk protein particles get golden. You don't want them to scorch you, so you're gonna watch it when you're stirring it and just kind of get it melted down nicely. I also do have a big tub of browned butter, so I do it ahead of time, like a pound or 2 at a time, and then I put them in quart containers. And then I have homemade brown sugar. And if you could smell this right now, I know Julia was smelling it. Julia's with me here in the kitchen. This is homemade brown sugar. So I take regular organic sugar, unrefined organic sugar, and I use sorghum molasses from my friend Marlon's farm. And that's just a treasure because the smell is a little different. So you'll notice that there's sorghum molasses will make a nice difference in your pie. So I'm going to throw all these in together, and I'll probably need a fork, Julie. I didn't do, that's probably the one thing I didn't do. Okay. Thank you, sweetie. And then I'm also gonna take some fresh nutmeg. This nutmeg came back with me from Jamaica, and that is the primary flavor in your buttermilk pie. It is not cinnamon. So if you have a nutmeg grater and you can get fresh nutmegs like this, you'll find them dried. I mean, they're not gonna be super duper expensive or different than that. It's nice. They also don't have to be, they have a good shelf life. If I keep it grated, a whole bunch of it, I put it in the fridge. Kind of like my cardamom, but we're gonna get about a half a teaspoon of this. Don't take your knuckles off, it hurts when you do that. And this is a really fine rasp in here. And the only thing I use it for is nutmeg. Okay, so there we go. So now you can see we've got about a nice half fluffy teaspoon. This is a 1/4 teaspoon, so that should be about a half. Yep, look at that. There we go. Not bad. Okay, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Cinnamon is not your primary flavor, just the nutmeg really. And you can go a little more on the nutmeg if you really, really like it. My recipe says a half to 3/4. It really is going to make a difference depending on if you're using the fresh grated or the already pre-grated. Okay, so I'm going to whisk this all together. I'm going to put this on here because inevitably it will bubble over a little bit and you don't want to drip into the bottom of your oven and make smoke because you don't want to smoke buttermilk pie. Okay, I'm going to whisk this real quick. This is not a pie to make in the afternoon for dinner that night. It takes about 8 hours to chill. You don't want to rush it. It really needs to set and get those flavors in there. Much better than if you've gotten it too soon. You want that custard to really set. Okay, and I'm gonna just whip this in really good, all my sugars and everything. You could put it in a mixer if you want to, that's fine too. Usually it comes together pretty well with this, and then I've got my butter. And I did see somebody just pull down our driveway, and there's always people stopping by the farm, so we just never know who that's gonna be. But if you're in our area, you are absolutely welcome to give us a holler and come say hello. Come see the cows that help us with this absolutely beautiful buttermilk. Come toward the fodder house to see what the cows eat every day. Because that's their main diet is hydroponic barley fodder. So you can check that out. But give us a holler. And all that butter is going to whip in there really good. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab one little whisk out of here. I think that'll pull it together a little faster. There we go. There we go. Okay. You have to be careful if you're using the brown butter or the melted butter. That already set back up again. We had it melted. Don't pour it in too quickly. Make sure you're whisking when you're pouring warm butter in, okay? Okay, so we're just gonna pour this into the shell. Oh, all that butter. Whee! I let it get pretty cool in the kitchen here. Because once I turn on the oven, it gets really warm. So we start baking in here. So usually the kitchen's on the rather cool side. Okay, so we've got everything in here. I'm going to turn and I'm going to put this into the oven. It's at 350. Okay, right in the center rack there. I do not have it on convection, just regular. And we're going to set it for, I think, 30 minutes. Let's see. No, 45. And we'll be back when that's done. Okay, well, we're going to take the pie out. It took a little longer than the 45 minutes, closer to an hour. So I've got it on here. If you can see, I'm going to bring it over that way. It should have a little bit of a wobble, see? But it's set, okay? It's not squishing all over. It's definitely wobbly though still. So I'm going to take that off of here, pop it up onto here. Okay, there we go. And then put this on here. So we're going to go over the recipe right quick, and now I'm going to let this cool completely on the counter, and then it's going to chill in the refrigerator for 8 hours or overnight is best. The longer it chills, the better the flavors meld. You can see it's still a little wobbly there. We've got nice separation. See how that all pulled together, all the butter melted in, and everything's happy. So I'm gonna go over the recipe once more, and we will also post it in the comment. We have one all butter crust for a single pie, and you can see it's got a lot of extra crust on it, but so it's a good size recipe. 3 tablespoons of flour, 3 large eggs plus 2 egg yolks, a cup of packed brown sugar. I like dark brown sugar in this. 1.5 cups of buttermilk, and shake your buttermilk, and I like to leave it out on the counter if you're using commercial buttermilk. Our buttermilk is really thick, but you can let it thicken up a little bit if you shake it and then pour it out in your measurements and let it sit for a second. And then we've got the nutmeg and the cinnamon. If you're using freshly grated nutmeg, it's 1/2 teaspoon of freshly grated or 3/4 of pre-grated nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 6 tablespoons of melted butter. And if you want to adjust that and make it a melted brown butter, you can do that as well. Just be careful not to scorch it. Okay, and we will post this recipe for you. You're going to cook it at 350 for about an hour is what this one took. Okay, and just really mixing it all together and then putting it in the pie shell. It's super simple. Enjoy it, and it's maybe something you haven't tried before, buttermilk pie.